What? What's happening? I don't know what's going on. Hey, you there, officer. Can you help me? I'm lost.
Hey, I'm an officer.
Officer, I need your help. What's going on?
Sir, do you know where you are right now?
No.
Do you know what day it is?
It's Wednesday.
Sir, do you know what your name is?
I think it's Gregory Danielson.
Who is the current president?
Yes.
All right, sir, do you have somebody you can call?
I know. I'll call the police. Doot. Ring, ring.
Sir.
Hello?
Sir.
Who is it?
You should probably come with me to a hospital.
I'm with the police right now, you say? They want to talk to you.
Hello? Yeah, I can't. I'm working right now.
What? What's going on? Where's my phone?
Where's my phone?
All right.
I wonder if that test is called when they ask your name, the date, and who the president is. Or was it name and date and president?
That's called the time traveler's test.
No.
Those are the questions you ask if you've traveled through time.
Well, those are good questions, but I wouldn't, if I traveled through time, I wouldn't go, what's my name? But I mean, no, you ask those questions to test the
mental capacity
for trauma to figure out their orientation. What's it called?
Your cognitive ability.
Yeah, I think there's a word for that test. Anyway, I think I got one of the questions wrong. One is your name. I think the other one is, do you know what day it is? And the third one I know is who's the current president.
Yeah, but I often don't know what day it is. So what if I fail that part of the test? Do they think I'm crazy?
You're going to the mental asylum if you get that wrong.
Shoot. I should keep better track. I need to keep the calendar on me. I need to tattoo it on my body so I always know. That's the shame thing. You want to know the correct
day once a week?
Yeah. Do you want to know something that's a shame about calendars? Is that there used to be a better one.
Which one?
Okay, so before the Gregorian calendar, which is the one we have right now, there was a calendar that another group of people used that I'm not familiar with that had 13 months. It had 300, I think it still had 365 days, but it had the correct increment of seconds, so there didn't have to be a leap day. And each year was the same amount of days. Every month had 28 days. Each month was the same.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like better. And then it also didn't have, like, again, you didn't have to have leap forwards and fall backs or whatever that is. Spring forward, fall back.
I think we did. How that's daylight true. Savings. I think we did daylight savings time specifically for farmers. We made it up. It's arbitrary, I think.
Yeah. Well,
that doesn't make sense. That's what I heard as a kid. I don't know if that's true.
But yeah, basically you could just have the same time and then just know
get up earlier.
Right. And if you had a better calendar and if Gregory didn't get in here and ruin everything, then basically people would just know what time of day it was because where the sun's at. And you'd know what time of year it was too, because the sun would be in the same places every day of the year that it was the year before, because the second is incrementally just barely longer. So we don't have to do that extra day. And then every month, I think it's 28 times 13 is 280 plus 3 times 28, which is 84. So 84 plus what I just said.
What would you say? Did you say 13 times 28?
Yeah, 13 times 28. 13 months times 28. So it's 280 plus 84, so 364. That's without one day.
Yeah.
So that's how the months would look. It'd be 13 months of 28 days each.
Yeah. I like the orderliness. In fact, I'm sure someone has the answer to this. I don't know why we use 12 for the months and for the time.
Right.
Well, actually, I want to learn the metric system because apparently it makes a lot of sense. It's based on tens and all that, but the whole world uses months and 60 seconds in a minute. I don't know why. I think 100, maybe even 50 would be better. Tens or something. Yeah.
5s and 10s because that's how many we have in our hands.
But I was thinking about it. I can't disconnect months from hours, 12 in a day. And I get 12 for the months because I like the if I were to break things down, the one thing I tend to break it down into is 4 seasons. So if you divided 4 seasons and you made that a year, well, then how many months are there? 4, 8, 12. Like I get 12. I like it. 3 months of that season and so on. So then if you were going to make time the same, okay. But I think time would be better as ones. But I wonder why we have 12 hours in a day and 12 hours at night and 24, where that came from.
Yeah,
it seems a little arbitrary because, like, if the way you said 13 months of every day being the same, or the amount of days in a month being the same, I think I'd choose that.
Yeah, it's clearly better in every way, for sure. And that, like, the other thing about that is, like, why don't everybody use the metric system? That way is way better.
Yeah, I don't know.
So there was this interesting study that people were talking about the psychology of numbers, and they were talking about why 10 is so familiar and why 12 and 13, you know, all those numbers that are pretty much in the same area, but they seem like more complicated numbers. And they basically theorized that if people perhaps had 6 fingers on each hand, then they would have built their numeric system differently. Like, you know how we have 9 digits?
We have 10.
No, we have 9 digits. Or we have 10 because of 0. So, but like 9 that have a numerical value, and then the 10th one.
Yeah.
So they basically theorized if you had 12 digits and then you just added 2, whatever symbol you could pick the letter T that just represented 11. Or, you know, you could pick a new symbol.
I thought you meant digits as in fingers. Like, well, we have 10 fingers, so it would make sense for us to base counting off of 10.
That's why they call them digits.
Yeah. Well, then why did we just make up 12?
Exactly.
I feel like you could divide the day into 10 hours instead of 12. And you could, I don't know what the math is for the minutes and seconds, but you could numerically get that the same too.
Yeah. I think that seconds...
Like, what came first, the hours or the seconds? Maybe the seconds came first because of heartbeats or something. I don't know. Like, there was some foundation for the structure of time. And I wonder what that was.
Well,
was
it was
the
days.
number 12? What was it? Days. Okay. So say
They just picked to cut it in half. And then
day and night, and how are we going to divide up the day? I would assume they had that first, the day and night, and then we're having to cut these apart.
Seconds,
Like noon, did that come first? High noon? I mean, noon isn't a number, so
midnight.
Maybe the height of the day, right? Middle of the day, and then the middle of the night, right? So, but technically midnight and noon aren't, well, depending on the season, it's the middle. I don't know. I wonder what came first.
Like, technically, I feel like seconds might have been sort of the result of a guy. Like, okay, there was this one, there have been things said about how clocks were made. And you know how, like, seconds came from the pendulum swings?
Well, I just assumed,
You can imagine the second increment.
yeah, I thought the pendulum though was structured to swing on seconds though. Not someone just found a swinging object one day and go, let's count the world with this.
Right, but which came first? It's another chicken and egg problem. Like, did the first pendulum happen to have this sort of 1 second at a time?
Or was there some other naturally occurring thing that people decided to base time on, like an hour?
Yeah,
in an hour, like, you know, the shadow clock. You could draw tens on the ground if you wanted to.
Yep.
So by the time the shadow clock was there, I think maybe this was before they had hours. Maybe they went when the shadow hits here, a clock.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, 12 is a nice prime number.
It's not
actually
a bad
has
number.
You can
Just
divide
10 is close and better.
Well, you can divide 12 by more things than 10. Maybe that's why they did that. So, because 10, you can only divide it by 2 and 5. That's it. But 12, you can divide it by 2, by 3, by 4.
That's it. Well, 6 also.
And 6, yeah. So that's like way more increments
Maybe you
of
could
time to
split
divide
it
by.
enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Which makes me think that like 16 would have been the best number to pick because 16 can be split in a whole bunch of
All
ways.
those plus 8. Wait. Yeah.
Not 6 though. I guess
Yeah.
you're just exchanging 6 for 8.
Yeah. All of those plus 8. It can be divided by.
But not 6. It'd be replacing 8 for 6. I just
No,
realized
18
that.
can be divided by 6. 2,
Oh, yeah,
2,
2,
3,
3.
4, 6, 8. All
Oh, it can't be by 4. That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, okay.
Not evenly. I mean, obviously, all these numbers can be divided by anything, but anyway, I do think that.
But
here's
yeah,
how I
maybe-
like to imagine the second was created. Okay, imagine this: these scientists, they're running away from the barbarians, right? And they're like, "What?"
Barbarians hate scientists.
Yeah, well, they're trying to kill them because they're different. That's how people used to be.
That's how
They're trying-
barbarians work.
They always want to kill different people. So like,
Yeah.
so these scientists, and I'm calling them scientists, but they're not like lab coat scientists. These are just people who
Just
are interested
thinkers.
in thinking. And so one thing that they do to track the barbarians, they often get up at this time. But how do we track that? And then I like to imagine this cave that they're hiding in has like a running water, and then there's a drip, drip, drip. And they're like, in 300 drips, they're going to be here. And then drips became seconds. That's how I like to imagine it happened.
Did you just come up with that?
Yeah, just like in my head, I was thinking I could imagine like the drips became like that's seconds.
If you had to guess, as far as it comes to dividing 24 hours worth of time a day, which do you think came first, the hour, the minute, or the second? Because I would guess the hour came first and just incrementally kept dividing it, like top down,
for sure.
days.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but
Like,
maybe seconds.
like when you're cutting a pizza, anytime you divide anything, you have to start with the bigger.
We need to specify more points during the day, which is why I think the 12 number makes sense. It's like, what if by the time that people decided to start cutting up the day into hours or whatever, they're like, we have a really busy day. We can't fit all our schedule into a 10-hour day because we can't divide it as enough finite points. But 12 is enough to cut it up to where we can identify specific points, all the things we already have in the day.
Well, like you said, it probably started with the sundial, and they probably put markers to indicate what time, like high noon was.
At some point on that sundial, they chose 12 or some multiple of 12.
Right, and probably different
why.
people chose different increments, but 12 is the one that stuck because somebody used that one, and it divided the day by enough in a way that made sense that everybody started using it.
Hey, do you want cold hot cocoa or hot cocoa?
I want hot cocoa.
Right now you can't have either. It's warm cocoa right now.
Well, shoot.
Just to remind you. It's good.
I got really immersed in my Gregorian calendar conversation.
We're having aged cocoa. We got this for Christmas from your aunt?
My granny, my noni.
Noni, I don't know what that means. Grandma, right?
Yeah, she's my grandma.
Grandma got us this special cocoa blend and box kit for Christmas almost a year ago, and I had it once and never having it because aged cocoa, it's the good stuff.
Still good.
Yeah, it's good. That wasn't the point. It's special. And I was like, it's cozy, it's rainy, so let's get something nice to drink. And I said, I wish we had hot cocoa. And Zach goes, we have hot cocoa at home. And I went, but I really wish we had it. And then we what's the word? Agreed. Came to a
consensus.
Arrangement. What's the word when you both settle?
Conclusion.
You both give up something, compromised. But then you agree to something.
But we didn't compromise anything, did we?
You were saying that I was complaining that I wish I had it and that we have it at home. I said, fine, we'll have the thing that I said that I wanted. It's a joke. But my brain isn't working really well. I was trying to think of what the word was.
Yeah, I was basically just saying, I was the mom who was saying, we have blank at home. And you're like, I want to go to this place to get this. And
no,
like,
I didn't. I just said I
blank
wish we had it. I didn't say I didn't beat it.
No, I know. I'm making another joke now. I'm making another joke. You know how the joke about my mom says, we have Walmart Superman at home, and Walmart Superman at home is like a really crappy Superman. Yeah. So, but this is not really like that. It's because this is good hot.
No, it's
this
good.
is better hot cocoa than you would get most places. It's a cool day. It's like a little bit drizzly. It's drowsy.
Which is perfect because I don't want to do anything ever again.
Yeah, if I wasn't depressed from the Chiefs game I watched last night, then it'd be a perfect day, more or less. A perfect day to chill out, do some stuff. I'm going to be pretty busy for a little while, and so today we are catching up on all the things we need to record, like a bunch of watching show episodes. We're recording ahead because I have a commitment to go do this live mixing course over the next month and a half or so. And it's going to take up a lot of my time, my extra time. Basically, this cool guy that I know, he's going to like teach me how to like do some, I probably already know most of it, but it'll be a good reminder and stuff.
I'm glad you chose to go.
Thanks. Yeah, I think it was the best choice because it gets my lazy butt out of my house.
Except for today. The butts stay here.
No, I got to go today too.
Oh, except until then. The butts are here for the rest of the day.
The butts are here.
Yeah. The butt stops here.
Here the butts lie. Or sit.
Heavy laden is the butt that stops here.
Heavy is the butt. Heavy is the butt that... I want to say heavy is the butt that...
Heavy is the butt that does not. I like that because it sounds profound, but it's kind of obvious.
But it's kind of true, yeah.
But
Heavy
it's
is
obvious,
the butt that does not. Because you get a fat ass if you don't do anything. That's awesome.
That sounds kind of like the move wench, step from one's path, the Shakespearean version of move bitch, get out of the way.
Yeah.
But it's like fat
Step
ass versus heavy is the butt that does not.
Yeah, step thee from my path, wench. Verily.
Okay, so dividing up time. I don't know what that, unless you wanted to jump to something else. I felt like there were more ways to divide that.
I would be so interested to go somewhere else in space just to see, like, and then like have a FaceTime home and just see what's different. Because you know how different places in space time moves differently because gravity. It is even like I learned this, like there have been movies like Interstellar that explore that idea at the extremes where they'll go close to a black hole and time moves super fast like that. But in like even a little bit close to any kind of gravity, time will move faster. So if like, for instance, if I took a shuttle and I shot myself out of the galaxy where there's not a lot of mass, I mean, there's a lot of mass, but it's
Sorry,
very
you got
far
backwards.
apart.
Time is slower, closer to that gravity. But anyway,
No, it's faster. Time speeds up closer to gravity.
no. If Matthew McConaughey
It's slower for everybody else because that means
because that would mean that if you Matthew McConaughey or you went to your shuttle and then time went fast and you go home, what does that mean? And if time speeds up for you, that means everyone at a home stays the same because their time is slow and you get old, but it's backwards. They get old and time goes slowly for you. He even says that in the beginning of the movie. He says time for me will move more slowly. It's backwards, but anyway. It made sense when I heard it and I thought about it. Wait, a second, and then I thought about it. I remember that's not what happens.
Okay, well, I think like scientifically, how like now I'm like really, I just
Don't
really
worry about
lost
it.
my train of thought.
Just call what you want to call it. You took a shuttle and you.
What you just said is right, but I feel like that's still wrong somehow. Like you just said something correct though. It's that
That's what everyone my teachers was ever like. What you just said was correct, but I feel like you're still wrong somehow.
Okay. So like
Don't
when
worry
you
about
pick yourself out of the planet and you move close to a black hole, then time moves faster over here. So time moves slowly for you. That's what I mean to say.
Yeah.
I'm thinking from the perspective of the Earth. That's why what I was saying was correct. My bad.
Okay.
You were right though. Anyway, if I was to take a shuttle from Earth and ship myself off to space away from Earth, then time on the Earth would move slower than it does for me in the pod. Like just out of the galaxy, because there's a lot of mass and like stars and stuff in the galaxy. If you're like away from all the dark energy and dark matter in just space between galaxies, then you're gonna watch like.
I think someone calculated that. Sorry, I'm interrupting.
Go ahead.
I think they said this astronaut was on the space station for a year, however many years, and it went, technically he's like 6 hours older than everybody else because of that time. It was something like that. Even, however small or far you are, time is moving faster because the Earth is closer to gravity than just space is. Anyway, someone said, I forgot what it was. I think he's a day older or something like that. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Anyway,
He was in the ISS for a while.
I'm generally what I said is what I think I heard. I don't know the details though. That's neat. But yeah, you could go to space, general space, floating out there, come back, and you'd be older than us, technically.
What's really crazy, think about this. Like, say if I was on a video call, let's say somehow by some miracle I have signal and I can call home. And then I get shipped off to space. What would happen is the further away I get from gravity, like let's say you and I were having a conversation and like the further I get away from mass, this is what would happen. You'd be talking like this and then you would start to be talking like this. And then you could, in theory, eventually, like, because time would be moving faster for me.
Yeah, but I have to wonder about how much of that is because of the signal traveling through space.
So don't think about signal. Let's say I actually get a window that I get to see directly what's happening on Earth, a portal. I get to see exactly. At some point, you're going to get so far away that you're going to look like you're frozen. You're just going to be sitting there like in the middle saying something to me.
Yeah.
Which is really scary to think about.
I thought about that when in the movie Interstellar, when he and her are in that pod in the water waiting. I imagine what Earth looked like. I was like, Earth is like a video like fast forwarding right now, just fast and they're just sitting there like, that's weird.
There's a terrifying
Actually,
theory.
specifically, sorry, I thought about the other way around. If his daughter was on Earth and looked into space, he's just frozen and sitting in a pod. Like, that's creepy.
What's another scary thing to think about is that if you were to be falling inside of a black hole, this is a fear that some people have because it's so like I've since I heard this, I've actually thought about this too, and it's like I do think about it when I dream now. If you fell into a black hole, you would die pretty quickly, but as quickly as you die, you could turn around and watch the universe end in front of your very eyes.
That's cool.
Because that's how fast time would move for you. You'd be falling into it and you would watch in front of your eyes the world just end before you died.
Good.
Isn't that crazy?
That's a cool way to die.
I know.
Depressing, but pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. I know. And you would turn into that little string noodle. But that's what's so crazy about mass. Yeah. Well, you would just turn into what would happen is your mass, you'd hit that point of no return and you would turn into a noodle. That's what Neil deGrasse said.
Go to that point of no refunds and just turn into a noodle.
But I heard that, and literally that's exactly what would happen is you'd get sucked in. You'd be dying. Like it wouldn't take long. It'd be a few seconds, but in that few seconds you'd turn around and you'd watch everything end before you died. That's just such an interesting thing to me.
Well, I assume that means that the black hole lasts as long as existence does and doesn't end before.
Well, unless mass can be destroyed. So far, people, by the laws of nature, people don't know that mass can be, and because black holes are just mass, it's like big mass, like it's the ultimate mass. It can't be destroyed. Ideally, I think, at least in theory, what the universe ending means is that all the stars have exploded and turned into gas, kind of thing. Or it crushes back into itself and all the black holes meet, kind of thing. Crashes back into itself. So interesting. I mean, it's just interesting. I don't know what that would look like actually, but you would see all of time before your eyes. I was just gives me chills. Like you can imagine, like as you're getting closer and closer, you just see things start speeding up and stars exploding left and right, and then nothing. Either things have expanded to the point you can't see them any longer because the universe just continues. Either just there's no light left, you've watched it move too far away, or whatever happens to end the universe.
And you go, I know that because I have glasses.
Science. Did that make you feel existentially like weird?
No, because I'm typically very existential anyway. I was thinking about, and it wasn't terribly related, I was thinking about Einstein said once as a student, I don't remember how it goes. He basically corrected the teacher in saying that darkness is the absence of light. Mm-hmm. And then, or I can't remember how that goes. And then I was thinking about, well, in the beginning there was light. So what's before the beginning? Just darkness? And then if darkness is the absence of light, then it can't exist without light. And then my brain was like a little roadblock, and I was trying to figure out what happens when the universe ends. If it ended, is it black? And I go, well, then no, because there's no such thing as black. If there's nothing, then what's the absence of darkness? And if it's not light, then what is? I don't know. I remember as a kid trying to imagine what would not nothing look like. What's less than nothing? And like the closest I can think of is black and no noise. That's the closest I can comprehend, but there's something beyond that, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah, nothing is just the lack of. It's just the lack.
Yeah, you can't have lack of if the thing isn't there.
And
I don't know that.
From a theological standpoint, you just explained why there has to be a God. There has to be, because unless your belief is that a God is a bearded old man, then that doesn't argue for that. But if you believe in what God is as like a universal principle, the idea of I am, like existence, that's God kind of thing. At least in a lot of theology's opinion or their viewpoint. So from that sense, you can't have a thing unless you have a God, unless you have God or a God, or what is the ultimate, the thing that introduces itself. Like, let there be light. That's just in a theological standpoint, God introducing himself to the nothing.
We talked about this before, right? About the Garden of Eden, whatever. And I
Oh,
said,
yeah.
I think I was on the show we were talking about. I said, I think that's why bad happens. Why God allows bad things to happen, because you can't have the good without the bad is
Right.
one way of saying what I was thinking. But you said, whatever, I don't want to rehash an old topic, but
That's one of my favorite things to talk about is like you can't have an ultimate
we
good without
define
it.
each other.
Right. You actually can't have an ultimate good without an ultimate bad. And you can't have like the ultimate forgiver unless you create a thing that's ultimately unforgivable, which is what people are.
Yeah. Which, light and dark. I like that principle. It's very, what's the word? It's an old idea. I guess it's called Taoism. I don't know the idea
It's
of
the Taoist theology of yin and yang. Yeah.
I think yin. Well, that's not what it's called. Tajidi, whatever. That's the name of the symbol that represents the Taoist idea of these two opposing forces that define each other and can't exist without each other, that are different from one another, whatever.
And are created from each other. Yeah.
It's an old idea that I was going to say also sounds very gift shoppy. I think it's what I was going to use.
Yeah.
But
It has been made gift shoppy. Yeah.
Tokeny.
Yeah.
I like the term gift shoppy.
It's
though.
a caricature of itself. Yeah.
It's the right kind of corny, superficial, marketable, cute stuff.
Yeah.
But there's a deeper idea, and I like that idea. I think that kind of leads to a lot of my decisions on things like light and dark. Well, you can't have all dark because then it's not dark. When I can't comprehend further.
It's just nothing if it's all one thing. It's the same. It's like the joke of if everybody's special, then no one is.
Yeah.
You know, it's this.
Yeah.
If everything is all of one thing, then it's nothing anymore because there's nothing to differentiate. It's like when you have a value hierarchy with no values, then you don't have a value hierarchy. It's just a bunch of meh.
Something I said to somebody at some point I thought of is how did I put it? It wasn't very grand, but I believed it, which was, I said, so many people spend so much effort trying to be other people that there's nobody left. What I mean is, like, if I'm trying to,
That's cool.
when I'm trying to meet, something like that. What I mean is, if I try to emulate all these different people and adapt their characteristics that I like, where's me and all that? I'm just pretending to be other people. And if we all did that, then there are no individuals anymore.
That's why it's so outstanding when you meet a completely unique individual.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah.
that person is just themselves.
And more often than not, I mean, superficially, you might care about somebody who has all the traits you desire, like, I don't know, celebrities or something. But the people you like and care about are the unique people,
or the
whether you
memorable
agree with
ones,
them or
yeah.
not. Yeah, like, yeah.
I mean, what's his name? The
Norm
comedian.
Macdonald.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought about him too.
Yeah.
He was just like, that's who he was,
yeah.
you know, kind of like thing. And
I
even
think
though
that's
he's
why we liked him.
right.
Aside from being talented and all, like, we valued him as a person because he just was a person.
But
have a
like
lot of-
nobody was like him kind of deal. And,
Yeah.
and everybody's like that. It's just so many people are trying to not be like themselves.
Yeah.
I don't know. That sounds corny too. I don't want to
That's
get
why I
into
meant,
the
like, it
be
didn't
yourself thing.
sound very grand, but that idea of so many people are putting so much effort into being other people that there's nobody left.
or of
So-
selling what of them is special.
Yeah, that's a conversation I want to have with you some other time. It's a big question I have about who you are, but I'll let that go because I have.
We can try to remember it for next time.
I'll remember. I think
This
about it all
one
the
we
time.
kind of like came up with like principles of the universe and time. This one
It
could
was,
be called time.
We talked about time and/or space. One of the stones before. We've talked about a few stones. Not reality though. That's a stone I'd like to talk about. But anyway, yeah, it was like
I feel like when
calendars and dates, and then it was
Time.
like time. Yeah, I call it time.
Yeah, it's time to call it time. When we actually talk about reality, we're gonna disagree a lot. I can already tell.
Oh well, here's a prediction. Your description of reality is going to be nice, and mine's going to be bitter.
No, I don't think mine will be nice. I think it will be.
So you think we'll both be bitter, but we'll disagree still?
Yeah, I think you'll be wrong. No, I don't. Actually, I think we'd have pretty similar ideas. I think we'll disagree about one or two
I
important
hope so.
things.
It's always more interesting to disagree.
Yeah. Because like sometimes when you talk about, wow, now we're gonna get into it.
I don't want to get into it. Let's save it for next time.
Yeah.
We have a lot to talk about next time.
we will.
Hey, you want it right there, so that the time is short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ironically,
That's-
if I end it right now, this episode called Time will have the least amount of time for it. So I feel like we owe it to
It's
the
special.
audience to
It's
end
meta.
it early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope
Check this out though. If you can see, it's my foot, and if you look carefully, you can see that I've used it to walk before.
I was holding it halfway through. I was like, "There's gonna be a punchline up." All right.
If you look, if you just look at it.
Look at it.
All right,
All
bye.
right. Bye.
Do you have any? Hey, tell him a joke.
You're gonna interrupt me as soon
No, I
as
promise I won't interrupt you. Tell a joke.
Once upon a time.